week 3 and 4, where we nurture our now maturing plants and ensure that they continue to thrive. Week 3 is all about getting to know your plants. What are the roots, the stems, the branches, and the leaves? Why are they important for a plant's survival? And most importantly, how will we know when the plants are ready to transfer to the tower garden? In the science lesson, students will be documenting and learning about the importance of scientific diagrams. Students who have any experience growing plants will really shine here. Most do not know how plants are structured and that each part has its own function. Watch this video on plant structure for a great overview. Encourage students to relate parts of the plant to parts of themselves. How are roots like feet? How are the stems or branches like arms and legs? What parts can't we see but are still important for the plant's survival? This lesson ties into concepts of job roles and functions, interdependence, and how different components work together for a greater purpose. In week 3's math lesson, it's all things hydro. I've included a link to a video for you to see how I would teach it to a 4th grade self-contained class. The great thing about this video is that it features a variety of teacher techniques, like a big reveal, modeling a perfect response, teaching by purposely making mistakes, giving good writing prompts, reorienting a lesson, how to check for understanding, asking to estimate and estimate again, and checking for consensus. In language arts, we're asking children to do something they've never done before, writing letters to the plants. Sounds ridiculous, right? Plants can't read, so it's all 100% figurative. This facilitates classroom discussion that leads into writing prompts which drive the essential elements of a good letter. Best of all, a few weeks later, the plants will write them back. We'll get to that later. As you know, I love rubrics, so I've included a rubric for how to write the perfect letter. This is 100% content-driven, from greetings and salutations to context, content, conventions, substance, and style. I often jest that without farmers, we'd all be naked and hungry. In week 3's Digging Deeper section, students can consider the different uses of plants in our lives. Did you know that most of your clothing is from a plant? And the paper that you're writing on? That's made from plants too. Ooh, let's not forget toilet paper. For other students, there's an option to spend some time exploring prisms and electromagnets in this great video. Just one more way to hook them on high-interest, frequently occurring, and timely science topics. Give your students the chance to debate the benefits and negative aspects of GMOs, and then have them switch sides. Lastly, before we go, during this week, you'll see a small survey in the resources section. This is really important to help you and help us collect data on how well students are learning. You can do this 3-minute exercise anywhere, at any time during the week. It need not be attached to any particular lesson at all. Personally, I recommend doing this survey at the beginning of the week as a quick temperature check. Your perusal of the answers will really inform your instruction throughout the week. Questions 1 through 3 are ideal for creating various KWL charts and also for you to see what students know about the upcoming content. Question 4 is a simple matching task that will show you how much your students know about writing a letter. Now more than ever, in this age of texting and instant messaging, students are not always aware of the essential structures required in formal writing. This exercise will help you help them. Best of all, these questions repeat themselves again during the post-program survey so you and they can track their learning. Welcome to Water World! We are making connections between how water cycles through our planet and how water cycles through our tower garden. Here, things are really starting to grow, and it's important that students are able to talk accountably about what stage their seedlings are in. Let's think about how much water is on Earth, how much water is in plants, how much water is in you. Drill down on how important water is. It's the new petroleum. Remember, water is life. Here's something to look out for. Aphids. Make sure your tower garden has no aphids. Aphids won't hurt your plants, but they will surely annoy you and your students, and they fly around everywhere. If you do have aphids, you can order ladybugs to eat the aphids and teach about integrated pest management. Another great way to eliminate aphids is with the use of neem oil or organic soap, which block them from breathing. Most children love learning how insects breathe through their bodies. Who knew soap could be so cool? Or cruel. Also in this lesson, you'll find 2 videos that you should show the whole class: the Tower Garden video and the water cycle video. The children will love it. Be prepared to have the water cycle song stuck in your head for several weeks. They will ask you to play it again and again. This whole curriculum is all about growth, plants, and students. And this lesson empowers children to see the beauty and power of documentation, data, and graphing, which is precisely how we track growth. In the math lesson, you should be charting plant growth weekly. It's important to check that each student is doing this correctly. Understanding the different types of graphs will serve them well. This is one lesson where students will make mistakes, be it insufficient scaling on the axes, or those who want to make numerous attempts to get it just right. The students will often need extra copies. Make sure to print enough. Have students bring in samples of bar graphs, line graphs, and pie charts from other subject areas or newspapers, magazines, or their favorite blogs. What else can you graph or chart? Realize data is everywhere. Hopefully you've been building up a word wall with each week's vocabulary words, and by now it should look very impressive. With more than 20 words already, you can test the students' memory and ask them about a vocabulary word from a couple of weeks ago. Be creative to ensure that your students are integrating new vocabulary. If you haven't put up a word wall yet, this is a great chance to do it. The language arts lesson is all about debates, which, if your students spent time in digging deeper last week, they'll be well prepared for. Young students especially love being able to argue. I'd like to bring your attention to the debate rubric, which is a great forward-thinking teaching tool, as it'll drive proactive conversations and Socratic talk in your classroom. This is a great opportunity to talk about the different types of gardenings: traditional soil agriculture, hydroponics, aeroponics, aquaponics, and to reference some pop culture examples like The Martian. This week's Digging Deeper marks the almost halfway point. How are we going to represent what we've learned and show our learning? What about a gallery wall that shows all the data you've collected as a class, or a big class chart? Students can spend a bit more time learning about ladybugs, which, if you're having trouble with aphids, will fit right in. Aphids or not, everybody loves ladybugs. There are some great activities you can do with food webs and food cycles with ladybugs right in the middle. I've found that children are very empathetic to these cute crawling creatures. When I ask children to behave so the ladybugs don't stress out, they willingly comply. For the Tinkers, making water filters is always a hit. Next up, weeks 5 and 6.